Good morning, YouTube. Rudy here with Rudy's Life Chronicles. I hope everyone is having a wonderful start to your weekends. Um, I have just started my day. I was hanging out with the dogs this morning and got my coffee ready to go. As per usual, always have to make sure I have my cup of Joe at hand at all times. So yesterday I put up a video about our trip from California to Georgia, and I was really happy with it. Hopefully, more people will get to see it. And in case anyone has questions about it, you're always welcome to ask me in the comments about our move. Another thing I wanted to bring up about our travels was we had a really, really bad situation with the moving company that we used. So we were looking up online, looking up a bunch of different moving companies and stuff, and we found one that was recommended, and we went ahead and went with them, and they told us roughly what it was going to cost to move all our stuff from California to Georgia. I mean, honestly, it's across the country, so we knew it wasn't going to be super cheap. But we weren't really expected for what actually ended up happening with that moving company. So, when you hire a moving company before they even go out there to pick up your stuff, they ask for the dimensions, they ask for all the stuff that you're going to take with you. So we let them know, hey, we have a king size bed, we have this TV, this giant TV, we have a L section couch, and we let them know how big it was and all that kind of stuff. Um, so the biggest things were the L shaped couch with a chair and our king size bed with the whole bed frame and all that stuff. So we let them know that. We let them know we had that stuff. Everything else was pretty much going to be in boxes. I think it was two TVs we had were going to be in boxes as well. Um, so they give you an estimate. They tell you, hey, it's going to be from this much to this much. Um, and you're good. You go ahead and sign it. You give the deposit. You're like, okay, everything's good to go. Um, so come moving day, when they come to actually get the stuff, the guys come out and then they go around and look at the apartment and see all the stuff that we're gonna give them to take. And they're like, "Oh, your bed is big." I said, "Yeah." We let them know it was a king size bed. King size beds are pretty much the same size. That's why they named them by a size, king size. Um, and they're like, it's probably gonna be extra. Also, your couch is bigger than we thought. You give the dimensions, you give what type of couch it is, and that there's a chair. So you assume that these people are going to go ahead and know roughly what a size L-shaped couch looks like, and a king size bed. So at that point, we had already given our deposit, and we're just kind of like, well, shoot. I mean, you guys are here. We need to move our stuff already. We already had planned everything, when we were going to get out to Georgia, the dates, and all that kind of stuff. We told them, okay, how much more is it going to be? They're like, oh, well, we need to go measure the bed. We need to go measure the couch, blah, blah, blah. And they came back and told us it was going to be an additional $2,000. $2,000. At this point, I felt like they were just milking us. And yeah, $2,000 extra because they didn't realize that our bed and our couch were as big as they were, even though we made sure to let them know that. Well, at this point, you're kind of like stuck because you've already given your deposit. So it honestly felt like they were just trying to get more cash out of us, which was really annoying. So we ended up paying the extra amount of money because we had only had this bed and this couch for about 2 years since we had moved at that apartment. And they take everything, and the thing that really gets me is these guys were very rude uh, during a lot of the process. And they have you sign. They're like, oh, okay, you need to sign here. Okay, make sure you check this box right here, and then sign here. You know how contracts go. They're long contracts, and yes, absolutely read your contracts no matter what. Even if you feel like you're on a time crunch, read your contracts, because what happens next is really crappy. So he tells me where to sign. He tells me where to check the boxes. I'm kind of just like, okay, well, this is probably a standard stuff that they're doing. So we go through all that process. And at the end, they're like, oh, we, we'd also like a tip. I said, a tip? You guys just took $2,000 more from us for this bed and this couch that we had already mentioned. It's not like it was a surprise when you got there that there was a bed and a couch. So they had the audacity to ask for a tip. We didn't give them a tip. We told them, look, we're moving to Georgia. We're in California. This is not a cheap move. We're already at our wits' ends, and money isn't always around. So we told them no. Afterwards, once we told them that we weren't going to be able to give them a tip, their whole attitude, their whole persona of being customer service and this and that just completely changed, and they were just rude. They're like, all right, whatever, here's blah blah blah, here's your paperwork, and then they took off. Okay, so they took off. There was some stuff that we were just gonna take in our cars with us. A lot of like the main stuff, like my computer, my monitors, things that I was gonna need for work to set up as soon as I got to Georgia. So they took off, and they told us that the moving truck with all of the stuff, it was a trailer actually, was going to go to Vegas. And then from there in Vegas, they were going to take everything out and then load it into another trailer, and then, drive. They were going to drive all the way to Georgia and drop off our stuff. They told us, ETA, this is around the time it's going to take. We said, okay, well, we can do maybe a week or less without all of our stuff. So we drive to Georgia. We go through. It takes us 4 to 5 days because unfortunately I cannot drive at night. So anytime it would start to get dark, we would have to stop and stay at a hotel. And so that's what made the trip long because of that. Normally a trip from California to Georgia could be about 3 days ish if you're driving a lot, especially if you're driving at night. But because we had to stop, it took us about 5 days to get to Georgia. So we get to Georgia, we go through the whole process of signing our paperwork for our house and getting the keys and everything. And we arrive at the house. We're ecstatic, we're happy, we're really, really impressed with the house overall. And the only problem is we don't have any furniture. So we arrive at the house just with the stuff we have in our cars. We take out what we can and stuff, and now we just kind of sit and wait on the floor until this moving truck decides to show up. I get very anxious when I don't have somewhere that I can sit or lay down. We had a inflatable mattress that we were using at the apartment for the last few days when we didn't have a bed, but inflatable mattresses suck. Especially when you're a bigger guy like me, an inflatable mattress is crappy. Really, really crappy. So it was really uncomfortable. It was hard to really fall asleep. And then during the day, we had nowhere to sit down except on the floor. And after a while, that gets really uncomfortable. So I went on Amazon and I bought like a chair just so there's somewhere to sit. And we were still waiting for this moving truck to show up. And eventually they showed up about a week later. And it was not the same guys. It was some other guy, and they hired some help from someone out here in Georgia that I guess does moving stuff. They show up. They start taking everything out of the car. Out of the trailer. And we noticed there's some stuff missing. We said, where's our bed frame? Where's the other part of this couch? Because they brought in the L part of the couch, the long part, but the rest of the couch was missing. So we said, okay, we're missing our couch and we're missing our bed frame. Where is that stuff? The guy's looking through the papers and everything, just looking, and he's like, yeah, it's not in the truck. I said, okay, well, what do you mean it's not in the truck? He's like, yeah, it's not in the truck. I said, okay, but that was put in your truck, and we know it had to make a stop in Vegas, and you guys had to switch trucks to put the stuff in. But where's the stuff? And he said, I don't know. It's not in there. You're going to have to call and ask about it. So that was really unfortunate, because not only did we pay $2,000 extra to bring that stuff that they said was big, in the end, they didn't have it in the truck. So I called. They said, yeah, we don't have that. You know, I gave them the item number and everything that's on the manifest. And they're like, yeah, it's not. If it wasn't in the truck, it might have got lost. Okay. Is there any kind of insurance, anything that would protect us in this situation? This is hugely my fault, because when the guy was having to sign the contract when we were in California, when he said, check this box, that box, when I went then to look at the manifest, says that they are not held responsible for any items that are missing or lost during the move. So he specifically knew what he was doing. He said, check this box. I looked at the manifest. The box below that said, check this box if you would like to get insurance to protect you in the event of anything missing or being lost in the move. And it was like a small additional fee. They didn't say, oh, do you want insurance? They just said, check this box, which is the one that says that. So that's on me. I did not read what they were having me sign. So I, was really upset, because we were now out $2,000 for these items that we had to pay extra for them to move that never ended up showing up. We got a mattress, and then we got half of a couch. The bed frame was completely gone. This bed frame was barely 2 years old. So that was very upsetting. It was an upsetting way to kind of start our life out here, because now we had a tiny part of a couch and a chair, and our bed frame was gone. We just had the mattress and stuff, which was just on the floor, which is not pleasant. We were hoping to have our whole bed frame and everything like that. So yeah, I called them afterwards. So I'm like, hey, your guy, this and that. I went through a whole argument with them, and they just said, yeah, unfortunately, you didn't check the box for insurance coverage, so there is nothing that can be done about it. We can, maybe offer you guys a small amount of money in return for the loss. I said, okay, well, some money is better than nothing. We told them the bed frame was this much, the couch was this much, so that alone was around almost $2,000 itself. So how are you guys going to compensate us? They gave us $30. $30. They said, oh, well, we don't go off of the size of the item. We just go off of the dimensions of something or other. At that point, I stopped paying attention once they mentioned $30. So I told them, you're going to compensate us $30 for you missing almost $2,000 worth of items that we paid extra to ship because it wasn't enough, or they were too big for you guys. So that was extremely, extremely upsetting. Yeah, so when we got all that settled and done with, we ended up getting a new bed frame for our mattress that we had. We ended up getting a new couch, and when they dropped off our couch from Ashley's that we got it, we just told them to take the piece of the other old couch away. But yeah, if you're going to move, if you're going to use a moving company to do your move, read through your contracts, read through the paperwork, everything. When they start telling you to check this box or that, have them explain it or read it yourself. Make sure there's some other insurance coverage. Look, this was our first time doing something like this, so yes, the blame partly does fall on me. If anything, it falls completely on me for not taking the time to read through that contract. You know, we were going through a lot. I was dealing with anemia at that point. I was just frustrated to the point where we just wanted to get our stuff taken care of and moved so that we can have it here in Georgia. But yeah, guys, that's the story of the moving company incident that we had. I'm not going to put them on blast. I've already sent my consumer report thing, my review, everything about that moving company, and I've already kind of put them to shame on that. So hopefully that review is out there so people that get them will think twice about doing it. Because overall they were very rude. They were just very disrespectful and not even understanding about the situation. So just be very mindful if you're going to do a move to read through the paperwork, but don't let it dissuade you from moving or using a moving company. I hear there's plenty of really good ones. And yeah, that's going to do it for the video. Hopefully you enjoyed my story on our another part of our move to Georgia that, it was 2 years ago now, but now that I have a channel for vlogging that I can go ahead and talk about these stories, I will do my best to try and do that. So thank you for watching so much. I hope you guys have a great weekend and a great rest of your week when that starts up and everything. So take it easy, guys. I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.